Economic Democracy by Major C.H. Douglas, Chapter 10. In considering the inadequacy of a mere extension of manufacturing production unaccompanied by a modification of the distributing system, it was seen that in any manufacturing process there enters into the cost and reappears in the price a charge for certain items which are really rendered useless, but which form a step towards the final product. These items may be conveniently grouped under the heading of semi-manufacturers when considered in relation to a more complex product, although in many cases they may in themselves, for other purposes, represent a final product. For instance, electric power, if used for lighting, is a final product and ministers directly to a human need. But the same energy, if used to drive a cotton mill, is in the sense in which the term is here used, a semi-manufacturer. Now, it should be obvious that a semi-manufacturer, in this sense, is of no use to a consumer. If it is to be used as an ultimate product, it ceases to come under the heading of a semi-manufacturer. Therefore, a semi-manufacturer must be an asset to be accounted into an estimate of the potential capacity to produce ultimate products, which is the whole object of manufacture from a human point of view, and with certain reservations represents an increase of credit capital, but not of wealth. This conception is of the most fundamental importance. If we concede its validity, a transfer of value in respect of semi-manufacturers is between one undertaking and another is measured by a transfer of real credit, and like a financial credit transfer, is most suitably dealt with through the agency of a clearinghouse. Major Douglas then proceeds to present an analysis of the operations of a contemporary 1919 clearinghouse in respect to Messrs. Jones and Company, who tan leather, Messrs. Brown and Company, who make boots, and Messrs. Robinson, who sell them, imagining that all these undertakings are run on the basis of a commission or profit on all labour and salary costs, an arrangement which is, however, quite immaterial to the main issue. We have now clearly arrived at a point where there is direct relation between effective demand and prices as distinct from the relation between costs and prices. Let us now imagine a single adjustable tax applied to all production of such magnitude as to bring prices from those fixed by the foregoing method to the suitable international exchange level. In existing circumstances, without affecting present prices, such a tax would pay the interest on the war loan many times over. Let such a tax be applied to this purpose, the war loan being distributed in the manner described and possibly increased by additions from clearinghouse transfers. It is clear that a rise in external prices would be met by an increased distribution, while a greater internal efficiency would have a similar result. Such an arrangement would make it possible to effect, in fact, would certainly induce a transition from a purely competitive world system to one exhibiting in concrete form the demand for cooperation without regimentation, which beyond all question underlies the so-called proletarian revolt. It may, perhaps, at this juncture, be desirable to emphasize the obvious to the extent of pointing out that no financial system by itself affects concrete facts, that the object of measures of the character indicated is the provision of the right incentive to effort and the removal of any possible incentive to waste, and only to the extent that these are achieved is the economic emancipation of the individual brought nearer to reality. Had the principles underlining these suggestions been generally understood and accepted during the war, we should have experienced a steady decrease of purchasing power by every individual, which would have enabled us to resume the great general improvement in social conditions at its close, without that misunderstanding of facts which now threaten catastrophe. The depreciation rate would, in a manner quite similar to that with which we are familiar in the case of the bank rate, have been raised at suitable intervals to represent the excess of destruction over production. The necessity of increased effort would have been brought home to every individual by decreased distribution in respect of national capital assets, and the general atmosphere of distrust and recrimination from which we suffer as a result of confusion of thought would probably not have arisen.